trying to mend the pieces of your broken heart. Want to make a change but don't know where to start. Let's go on a journey trying something new. Let's go on the road to finding you. The art spot with Iyanla. Talking relationships, getting down to the thick of it. The art spot with Iyanla.
Welcome to the R-Spot, the relationship zone, the place we come to examine and explore the issues, challenges, benefits, and rewards of relationships. All kinds of relationships, because relationships make our world and our lives better places. That's why we want to be better in them and for them. Now, our topic this week is one of those necessary topics, one we do not like, but one that we can all become better with. And it's about hard conversations. Now, just what is a hard conversation? A hard conversation is one you might call confrontational, one where you are questioning or challenging someone, or one where you are asking for or presenting a sensitive or difficult topic. We may think it's confrontational, but I call it carefrontational, because I care about you and I want our relationship to be better. I want us to have this conversation to clear things up or get accurate information or to establish a boundary or make a specific request. Any number of things that we are afraid or resistant to saying. In light of that, think of a hard conversation as being one that's just as hard for you to speak as it is for the other person to hear. A hard conversation is one that challenges behavior or challenges authority or challenges something that you have been tolerating, accommodating, and accepting for a long period of time, and now you realize this isn't working for me. A hard conversation is one that addresses something that is not working, and that's why you're having the conversation. A hard conversation is also one that you know either from experience or history or just your own intuition. The other person does not want to hear what you have to say or engage you in the conversation because it challenges them. It challenges their authority or their behavior or their long-held habits. And chances are, when you begin the conversation, you will get resistance, rebellion, and pushback. These are the conversations. These hard conversations are the ones that you know or suspect will hurt or upset someone, and you will be forced to deal with the consequences. Now remember, this is a conversation. This is not you telling somebody something or you forcing your opinions on someone. No, that is not what this is about. It's a conversation, a two-way exchange that requires talking and listening. It's an exchange of ideas, of thoughts, of feelings that are spoken by word. It is not a text or an email, or lipstick writings on the bathroom mirror. In a hard conversation, you must be willing to speak and to hear. Now, the intention of a hard conversation will often determine the outcome, but you will have to talk about everything that's involved in the topic. Now, hard conversations come in a variety of shapes and sizes and cover a variety of topics. But since we're talking about relationship, let's look at two areas that can be very hard to talk about. I don't want to be in this relationship, or something you did or did not do, something you said or did not say, has caused me hurt, harm, or upset. The first I don't want to be in this relationship. That is a really tough one, or shall I say a rough one. But the rules of hard conversation still apply here. So let me give you the rules for having a hard conversation. Rule number 1. Ask the person if they're willing to have the conversation. Now, it can be as simple as, I need to talk to you about something. Is this a good time? Or, I want to talk to you about something. Are you open to having a conversation? And if the person says no, you can ask, when will be a good time for you? Or you can say, can we set some time aside to talk later or tomorrow? Nothing is more difficult than having a hard conversation with someone who does not want to talk. So avoid making the difficult even more difficult by asking. And if it's not a life or death situation, wait until they're ready. And be nice while you're waiting. If nothing comes back from the person, let's say in 24, 48 hours, remind them. Remember, we need to talk about something. And I want to know when you'll have some time for us to do that. Rule number 2. Have a clear intention. Know what it is that you want to communicate and communicate it clearly. Don't beat around the bush. Don't tell stories. Don't make excuses. And do not blame or find fault. Say what you need to say and then break it down into bite-sized pieces if necessary. The time has come for me to leave this relationship. That's clear. Or, I need to talk to you about your drinking or your foot odor or leaving the toilet seat up. Whatever it is, state it clearly. State it up front. Do not over-explain and do not anticipate what the other person will say or do. If they have a response, listen and then state your intention again. It's not my intention to hurt you or upset you. And because I care about you or I care about our relationship, I really do love you. I want you to know, blah, 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 whatever it is. Now, if you're leaving a relationship, there will undoubtedly be a reaction, some questions, and possibly a breakdown. So be prepared to stand your ground. If you're making a request or conveying some difficult information or establishing a boundary, then you can offer an explanation. But please keep it simple. Speak in 20 words or less in each sentence. If you are clear and committed, this won't be a problem. And be mindful not to blame or over-explain. Clear, clean, complete. That is the ticket when you're having a hard conversation. Say it clearly, make it clean, and complete it so that when you leave the conversation, you and the other person knows what to expect. Rule number 3. When you're having a hard conversation, say it in the same way you would want to hear it. It's important to be compassionate. Look the person in the eye. Maybe touch or hold their hand. Say what you need to say, and if it's really a hard conversation, stay out of the way of throwable objects. In other words, be prepared for an adverse reaction. And if you get one, if you get an adverse reaction from a hard conversation, back away, back down. You can come back to the conversation at a later time. At all costs, do not meet upset with upset. Do not meet hurt with hurt. If you back down, I promise you the person will come back for more information after they cool off and really get clear about what you're saying. Rule number 4. Make your requests or decisions clear and specific. If you are asking something of the other person, be clear. I'm asking you to please go to the podiatrist and have your feet checked out because they really do have an odor. Or, I'm asking you to please stop beating the dog. Or, if it is a decision, let them know what it is and whether or not there's any room for negotiation. For example, I'll be leaving the house by Friday. and I'm ready to file for divorce. Or I'm leaving tonight and I would like to stay in touch with you by phone, but I need you to let me know if that's okay. Or whatever decision you've made for yourself, it must be communicated clearly, and you must be willing to listen to the person's response, whether or not you like it and whatever it may be. So again, when it comes to a hard conversation, something difficult to communicate, or a hard request, or information that you're providing that may hurt or upset the person, ask the person if they're willing to have the conversation. Have a clear intention and speak with compassion. Make your request or your decision known, make it clear, make it specific. Now, I know this is a very intellectual approach that may not cover all the intricacies involved in saying difficult things, but if you time it right, if you have and hold a clear intention, if you create the right environment, you can tell almost anybody anything, and they'll be able to hear it and respond, even if it's difficult or hard. So when it comes to a hard conversation, you must also be genuine, authentic, and a good listener. Now, you will be tempted to get caught up in how the person reacts. But if your intention is clear, I can't say that enough, you will overcome that temptation. As you probably know, I once had a very hard conversation in a very public way with Miss Oprah the Winfrey herself. After 11 years of separation, amidst many rumors and speculations, I walked onto the stage of the Oprah Winfrey Show and I said, I ask for your forgiveness. Because I knew she was willing to talk because she invited me to the show. And my intention was to share with her what I had learned about myself and my behavior that had contributed to the breakdown in the first place. I didn't make up what she would say. I didn't assume that she was thinking this or that. And I didn't want anything from her. I had absolutely no idea how she would respond when she shared her perspective, when she challenged my perspective, when she asked me some hard questions. I held my ground. What I had done was inappropriate because I didn't understand certain things and I didn't have certain information that she thought I did have. And what I had done was not malicious, nor did I have an ill intent. So it didn't matter what her perspective was. I had to be clear about my perspective. What I had done was a function of my own unworthiness that I was experiencing at the time. And even though it looked like and sounded like something else, that is what it was. After a 2.5-hour, very hard and very public conversation, she heard me. She accepted what I had to offer, and the rest is history. Now, granted, it took us 11 years to get there, but we got there. Hard conversations are not easy, but they are possible. You must first be clear within yourself, because if you're not clear, the best thing for you to do is to keep your mouth shut. You must be willing and ready to accept responsibility for whatever is going on, your share of the responsibility, even when you think it's all about the other person. You accepted, tolerated, and accommodated it. And now you've made a new choice, a different choice that you want to communicate. So take responsibility. I once told someone in a hard conversation, please forgive me for allowing you to believe that it's okay for you to speak to me in that manner. I was wrong. It is not okay. It will never be okay. And I wanted you to know that so we could move forward in a different way, if we choose to. And I was willing to let the person go. But you know what? They were shocked that I said that. Not only did they apologize, but we are still friends until this very day. So if you've been putting off a hard conversation, get clear, be compassionate, Set your intention and go for it. And please don't be thrown off center by how the person responds. In fact, never judge your clarity on how somebody responds. Say what you need to say and mean it. That is the real hard part. Hard conversations. You can do it. I hope this helps.
The Art Spot.
And now for our question of the day. Iyanla, would you say that a relationship can survive physical abuse? Well, beloved, I would never say never, but my question would be, why would you want to wait and see? If you are in an experience where there is physical abuse, that is not a healthy or loving relationship. In fact, it's not a relationship. It's an entanglement where your issues are entangled with the other person's issues and the two of you are duking it out. And chances are somebody's taking a beat down. I stayed in a physically and verbally abusive relationship for 9 years and it never got better. I stayed because I thought that's what I deserved. I stayed because I lied to myself and allowed myself to believe that I couldn't leave. I stayed because I was too ashamed and embarrassed to face and admit that I was in an abusive entanglement. I stayed until the day I realized at 3 a.m. this is not going to change and my life is in danger. And even then, I didn't leave for me. I left for my children. But any reason is better than no reason if it causes you to take action. A relationship is a connection, a physical, emotional, and spiritual bond, the way in which two or more people relate to one another. Now, when there's physical, verbal, or emotional abuse, the way of relating is violent and destructive for both parties. Why would you want to stay in that experience? Can a relationship survive physical abuse? I would offer that once the abuse begins, it is no longer a relationship. And I would encourage you to find out what it is for you. Is it familiar? Is it a form of punishment? Is it a habit? Is it an excuse? Is it a reason or a rationale that you are using to avoid something you fear more than being beaten? Now, if you can answer those questions, you'll know what to do. But in the meantime, beloved, please be safe and stay safe.
The Art Spot.
Now, here is our hallelujah truth for today. Once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether or not the storm is really over. But when you come out of a storm, a real storm that has ripped up some parts of your life, you won't be the same person who walked into the storm. And beloved, that's what the storm is all about, changing you. Now, to all of the newcomers to the R Spot, welcome. You want to be sure to subscribe to the Iyanla Vanzant YouTube channel so that you will get a notice each time a new episode is posted. I also invite you to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I've learned so much about those things. We have some really wonderful freemiums coming out soon, and I want you to make sure that you have everything we have to offer. So sign up for my mailing list at www.iyanla.com. I hope you've enjoyed this R Spot, and I'll see you next time.
Trying to mend the pieces of your broken heart. Want to make a change, but don't know where.
I love that. And we are talking about Iyanla, Fix My Life. This season 4. See, I ain't
Everybody out here.
Not today. We're never going to go. You're going to try.
Woo! Now that looked amazing.
That was
Do you remember Not On My Watch?
Yes.
Well, that has now been replaced by A Loud
Which is now a hashtag.
Please put Miss in front of it.
Right.
I said the hashtag Miss Gutter.
Miss Gutter.
I do not want to be disrespectful.
At all.
Oh,
That
Gutter
just
this.
hey,